Welcome to the ARSC Leica TXP Microscopy Sample Preparation Video SOP. This video is based on the Leica Model EM TXP and incorporates the sawing, coring, and polishing workflow at Texas State University. If another use is needed, such as milling, please contact your trainer and see the appropriate standard operating procedure for more information. All ARSC policies and procedures apply. Please see the TXP Microscopy Sample Preparation System Standard Operating Procedures for the full protocols. To get started, remove the dust cover on the TXP MSP system and turn on the system by pressing the power switch on the back of the unit. Fill the lubrication or cooling system with DI water and about 2 drops of liquid soap. Connect the cooling system pump to the TXP by plugging the pump into the back of the TXP. Place the trough that is stored on the TXP shelves under the extraction unit to collect the used water. Then turn the rotation of the specimen pivot arm to 60 degrees and remove the protective cover. Do note that for longer sessions, the water levels of the lubrication system and the trough will need to be monitored and refilled or emptied throughout the session. To begin with the disc cutter or sawing tool, obtain the following tools from the TXP storage boxes. Carefully attach the arbor to the disc cutter to assemble the sawing tool, and place the tool into the spindle head of the TXP system. Use the flat small wrench number 12 to hold the spindle in place. Then use the larger flat wrench number 17 to clamp the arbor into the spindle head. Insert your sample into the holder and clamp it into place using the appropriate Allen key. Then insert into the system and clamp the holder in place. Rotate the specimen pivot arm back to 0 degrees. Then replace the protective cover. Change the RPM to 7,800. This value can be adjusted depending on the sample, but it should not exceed 15,000. Lubricant flow should typically be 12 milliliters. Slowly lower the control lever to move the sawing tool just to the left of the sample. Then, using the feed wheel, begin approaching your sample to the point you would like to cut at. If you need to measure how deep you need to go into the sample, go to the highest point of your sample and begin making slow passes until you can feel contact with the control lever. Adjust the advanced step size on the control panel if needed, then press the clear button to set the counter to 0. Move the sawing tool to the left side of the sample and begin advancing to the desired cutting location. It is recommended to be about 10 microns away from the region of interest to avoid cracks and damage to the area. Press the start button on the control panel or lever to turn on the spindle motor. Check the lubrication system is turned on. If it is not directly above the sample, the spout on the protective cover can be manually adjusted. Slowly move the sawing tool to begin cutting the sample. If any cracks or unwanted damage to the sample occur, stop the sawing and lower the RPM accordingly. If you would like a more polished sample, once you have made the initial cut, advance about 1 micron with the feed wheel and slowly make a pass at the sample until about 5 microns deep. When finished sawing, refer to the TXP MSP standard operating procedures for the next steps. To begin with the coring tool, obtain the following tools from the TXP supplies. Use the flat small wrench number 12 to hold the spindle in place, then use the larger flat wrench number 17 to clamp the coring tool into the spindle head. Insert your sample into the holder and clamp it into place using the appropriate Allen key. Then insert into the system and clamp the holder in place. Using the control panel, set the RPM to 8,000 and check the lubricant flow is at 12 milliliters. The pump setting can be changed to auto so that the water only turns on when the coring tool is actively rotating. These values can be adjusted as necessary, but the coring tool should never exceed 8,000 RPM, so that both the sample and the tool are not damaged. Lower the control lever to bring the coring tool directly in front of your region of interest. Approach until relatively close to the sample, and bring your coring tool back about 20 microns using the feed wheel. Insert the clamping screw onto the control lever by turning it clockwise until hand tight. This will lock the control lever in place so that the coring tool does not move while drilling into the sample. Change your step size to 1 micron and slowly approach your sample until contact is made. At this point, you can press the clear button on the control panel to zero out the distance. On the control panel, press the force limit button to view the force indicator. This value should not exceed 20 when advancing into your sample. Slowly proceed forward using the feed wheel until the desired distance into the sample is reached. The sample face can be viewed by retracting the coring tool about 300 microns and rotating the pivot arm lever to 60 degrees. Once finished, proceed to the TXP MSP standard operating procedures for more information. To begin with the polishing tool, obtain the following tools from the TXP supplies. With a gloved hand, assemble the polishing wheel by first attaching the chosen lapping foil onto the polishing wheel by removing the adhesive and evenly attaching it to the wheel. Then, carefully attach the arbor to the polishing wheel. Be sure to do this slowly to preserve the fine threads of the arbor. Place the assembled polishing wheel inside of the spindle head. Then, use the small flat wrench number 12 to hold the spindle in place, and use the larger flat wrench number 17 to clamp the arbor in place. Be sure to gently pull on the wheel to ensure that it is clamped into the spindle head. Insert the sample holder with the sample into the system and clamp into place using the appropriate Allen keys. Once your sample is loaded, rotate your sample back to 0 degrees using the pivot arm lever and replace the protective cover. On the control panel, set the RPM to 2200 and check the lubrication flow is at 12 milliliters. Change the pump setting to auto, meaning when the system is actively polishing, the flow will start. The best practice for polishing is to never go past 2500 RPM, and when using the neoprene cloth, it is best not to go above 300 RPM. Lower the control lever so that the polishing wheel is to the left of the tallest feature of your sample, and slowly approach the sample until contact is made. Retract the polishing tool about 100 microns, and press the force limit button to view the force indicator. Change your step size to 1 micron, and turn the spindle motor on. Begin making passes at your sample until a contact noise is made or the force indicator changes drastically. Once the first contact is made, press the clear button to set the distance traveled to 0. Continue making passes at the sample until the desired sample height is reached. For optimal results, change the step size to 0.5 microns when polishing. When finished, proceed to the shutdown procedure in the standard operating procedure to complete your session.